Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Hello and welcome to another Full Court Press, a college basketball coaches show powered by the Full Court Network. Back in the saddle, we had a little week hiatus. It's always interesting. We were talking to this coach off air. College basketball is not the same. It's ever changing. We find May is one of the toughest months to get coaches on the show. But thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. It's just me one-on-one with this fine coach who I actually covered 20 years ago in Iowa. But we got Coach Steve Alford, head coach of the Nevada Wolfpack. Welcome to the Full Court Press, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure and it's an honor. You know, obviously, what you have done. I mean, you've won wherever you've gone. We kind of talked a little bit off air. I don't even know if we should even talk about last year. I mean, another 20-win season, but it's kind of like they say, it's rinse, wash, repeat, right? You obviously got to see your family, got to see your kids, got to see your grandkids. I guess, what are you excited about, June coming around around the bend and, new team, new staff, not new staff, but new team. What are you looking forward to these next couple months? What you looking for?
Yeah, just, excited about the new team. And like you said, it's different than what it was 5-10 years ago. It used to be, I know in my early coaching days, it was you bring in freshmen, probably about 4 freshmen a year, and you just build them and they become sophomores and juniors. And that cycle just happens with development. And now it's like, I think I've got a good an intern deal at UCLA and towards the end of my New Mexico days we started having 1 and 2 and dones that were, you only had them for a year or two. So you have to accelerate that development side and know how much you're going to invest in that development, of what you can change to help the individual get better and what you leave alone. And we had some guys at UCLA that were 1 and done and, I'm not going to be able to change your shot in 8 months, just leave you alone and let you do what you do. So now that you get into the transfer portal, now that happens after COVID. Now you're into where we had 10 new guys last year and, we retained 4 really good players to last year's team, but again, 10 new guys. We got 4 new freshmen and 6 guys out of the portal. So it seems like that's going to be the norm. You're going to have, anywhere from 8 to 12 new players every year.
Yeah. How sustainable is it? I mean, how difficult is to build continuity, let alone culture, every year? I mean, I guess, what are you doing differently than, a couple years ago?
Yeah, I think the games and the talent and those that's still really good. And it probably been enhanced, to be honest with you, because a lot of older guys are playing the game. So I think the talent and the games are every bit as good, if not better, and very exciting. You mentioned sustainable. I just don't know how it's sustainable with the money that is being produced out there. I don't know how sustainable that is for college basketball as a whole, to where I get it. I've been on both sides. I've been at the Power 5. I've been at the mid-major. I've been at the upper mid-major. Like, you look at the Mountain West, we finished 6th as a league this year. We were very close to finishing 5th of all leagues in the country, and we get 1 bid. And that bid was a 10 seed. And, so it's getting harder and harder. Even with expansion coming, I think those expansions are probably going to the 12th place team in one of the Power 5 leagues. And so there's going to be a shift that I just don't know if it's good overall for college basketball, because we've got such a great product and the tournament is such a special tournament. It's the hardest tournament to get in any sport in college athletics. And I think that's special. That's what makes it fun. But hopefully there can be something figured out to where I'm all for it. The changes happened and the genie's out of the bottle, and I'm all for players getting paid. But it's at a level where, there's got to be something, collective bargaining, something in line to where agents can't ask for 20% and players don't even know
30. I've heard up to 30% they're asking for.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years ago it was cool to put your name in the draft. Then 3 years ago it was cool to put your name in the portal. Now it's cool to say I got an agent. Yeah, but do you really have an agent? is he really an agent? It's just some guy that you met on Facebook or social media. And now they're representing you and really taking you to the cleaners with stuff. So, I just hope there can be, and I just don't want to continue to move away from the education, the academics, the experience of college basketball, of what it used to be. I can remember when I played, and I know I'm 40 years removed from that, but when I had a bad game and I had to show up in class, my peers let me know about it. And then all of a sudden I practiced harder. I practiced with more, intensity and concentration. But now you look at the way college athletics is going. If players got 4 classes, 3 of them are online.
Yeah.
So you're not even getting on campus to see those peers and develop the social attributes that you need when basketball is over and you got to go to the real world. We got to be honest. These are our kids' first jobs. So as an 18, 19-year-old, you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars in your first job. That used to be, I started it when I got out of the league. My first job was at Manchester College for $33,000. It's like,
wow.
That's you have to go there and learn and grow and take your lumps. And, now these kids are going to get done and they're going to go for these interviews and we're like, what do you mean you're going to 60,000? Nah, I can't do that job.
Right. Do you ever wonder what it would have been like trying to negotiate NIL with Coach Knight when you were playing at Indiana?
Yeah, people often ask me that, and that there would be no negotiation. Whatever NIL I made would go right to the library fund at Indiana. So, Coach would have handled all the NILs with all the players, I think.
Yeah, it would have been interesting because I look at what you were. I mean, you still are, but playing and stuff like that. And the thing that Indiana back then, when Coach Knight was coaching, he never really got the accolades of retaining players. You guys stayed out of trouble. It's just amazing. Like, culture was such a big thing. And competition. I mean, It was obviously intense and stuff like that. Do you think the modern day players could have handled a week of Bobby Knight practices?
A week or a day? Yeah, it was much different. But I tell you what, that's what I appreciate most, because Coach was honest. He was fair. He was tough. He made me better every day, even on days where I thought I wanted to be better, but kind of wanted to take the day off. He just wouldn't let that happen. I can remember having bad games and he was on me the next day to move on. I can remember having really good games and he was on me the next day to move on. And I think that's why he was so successful. His players just, they bought into it. They bought into getting that foxhole together. And we were really, if you look at Coach, it really took him a long time just to start recruiting junior college kids.
Yeah.
It was all about high school kids. And I'm very grateful and thankful that, some of his early, he had Courtney Whitty, and then really beyond that, we had no other junior college players. And going into my senior year, I'm sure glad he went and got Dean Garrett and Keith Smart out of junior college, because those were 2 huge pieces for us to win a national title. So it took him a long time just even to make that move.
You're big into development. I mean, it's hard to do that now. Has your kind of recruiting philosophy changed in the last couple of years, even the last 5 minutes? Or are you staying kind of to your core of what you believe in and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think I would hope the core is always going to be our foundation of what we do, our faith, our family, how we invest in our players. I hope that's always going to be at the forefront. But you do have to accelerate the development piece, because development's not always on the court. Sometimes it's social development. Sometimes it's the responsibility of who you are, and and these kids are going through a lot of different things now. When they're trying to manage, you're making 15 to 70,000 a month, and how's that being managed, and those type of things. So it becomes a whole different level. But we know we really only go into every year thinking we may only have you 1 year. If you do well as you're a freshman and you do well, you're probably getting in the portal. So the retainment thing, you're not going to really know until the spring, but it's just diving in when we start mid-June and we get our 8 weeks. That's a crucial 8 weeks of just spending a lot of time with your players, learning who they are, connecting them as a team. And our group last year did a really good job with that, and that was a fun group. So hopefully this group's going to be the same.
Yeah. You said the word faith. Okay. I know your religious beliefs, you're strong in that. How much have you leaned on your faith the last couple years? Because I mean, I remember interviewing you after the Mountain West, and my question, and we're not big into sound bites, so I'm not looking for sound bites. But I asked you a question about the kind of current college landscape, and you gave a response, a true response, an honest response, and it went viral. A lot of people stole it, didn't get any credit, but that's okay. But how has your faith maybe been tested, or how have you strengthened your faith through all of this?
Yeah, I think hopefully I'm growing every year. I think that's something that's important that I think as I got older, you get probably maybe a little bit wiser in understanding the connectivity and staying closer and not drifting as much or as often, and staying as close as you can to God, and allowing that centerpiece to always be the foundation of it, and then realizing when you do drift and get back centered. I think that's part of my growth over the last 5, 6, 7 years. My Nevada tenure has kind of produced all that. I don't think so much as what like what you're saying about how the game has changed, or I think that soundbite, that interview was really probably a frustration of, I just didn't like, again, it's not about the players being paid. I didn't like how the model was all of a sudden being shitty, because the model of college basketball, you've always had that. It's one of the reasons I went from the NBA as a player to getting to college, because that development piece of young people, like my dad was a high school coach. I like that. I didn't want to teach. I didn't want to be in the classroom. Like dad was a high school teacher and coach, but I wanted that same high school thing where you're taking kids and you're developing them spiritually, socially, academically, athletically. And now our model is more like the G League or even the NBA model. It's better than the G League model as far as that goes. But the college model has always been like, as a player and as a coach, going to softball games, going to baseball games, going to volleyball games, seeing all the Olympic sports play. And now to me, it's like the focus is now like football, basketball. And
that's it.
I'm glad I'm in one of those sports, but I don't want the model to go to where all of a sudden we're looking at club sports to just retain our Olympic sports. I think the Olympic sports are a huge backbone of what makes college athletics and the college experience of what it is. And I just don't know how you can sustain that with the model that's in the current position it's in.
Well, it's really interesting. One of my friends is the head men's tennis coach at Arkansas, and about 3 weeks ago they dropped the program. Jay Edward, they brought it back.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be surprised if John Calipari had something to do with it, because he was. I coached at DePaul, and when we were in Conference USA, we were with Memphis, and he donated money to their tennis facility. So I think it's great, but how can that be sustainable to every program, right? I mean, that's just the problem. What have you?
Right.
Give me, if you could change one rule in the college game or college sports in general, what would it be?
On the court or
on or off? Let's do on the court and then off the court. How about that?
On the court, there's been a lot of talk on the quarters, going to quarters, just because I think we might be the only sport now with halves. It didn't used to be that way. Now it seems like we're the only, FIBA now. Everybody's gone quarters. So I've got some interest in that, just because it later in my career now, that would be fun to kind of move the ball to half court and have some timeouts to mess offense and defense with your opponents. That would be fun. That would be exciting. I still think the goaltending, being able to make sure goaltending is being officiated at a high level to where when it is missed, that's something you can go back and challenge. Because I think whether it's in the first half or the second half, a lot of those challenges can only happen maybe in the last couple minutes. And goaltending in the first half is just as important as it is in the second half. So,
Coach, I feel that's a bone of contention from your playing days.
From goaltending?
Yeah, some players goaltended you a couple of times. You lost some
points. Oh, is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah. I wish I'd had the 3-point line a lot longer. I know that, but then I think off the court is just the transfer. Getting it to where it's a player gets that one-time transfer. But then after that, it's back to the old rule. And I know there's different arguments. You know, I don't buy into the argument that, well, coaches can move, and so why can't players? Well,
Yeah, but there's buyouts. There's school
yeah,
gets money
coaches
for
have
it.
major buyouts in their contracts, and for one, and two, the coaches have already gone through college. That to me, college is a step. You go from high school to college. You're still in that educational piece.
Yep.
I haven't bought into. We're talking about professional athletes at the collegiate level. I still think the collegiate level should be about education and academics, and so to me, that's the next step. So to compare them to coaches who have already done those steps, I don't know if we're on the equal playing field as far as money and those type of things. I don't necessarily buy into all of that, but I do hope the transfer situation. I think if we get that fixed, then other things can fall into line.
You remember when like having a 3.0 or a 3.5 team GPA was a good thing, or that you graduated all 14 players?
Yeah, that's not even asked anymore.
Or what's APR? Do you remember what APR stands for?
Well, I've argued that for the last 3 years of why we even have an APR. When you're getting 10 new players a year, I am proud of our staff because our APR has been really good through all of this. We've graduated everybody that we now only count the guys that were the last stop because you leave us after our freshman year, we have no control over your graduation. But we've been able to graduate everybody, and that's something we're proud of. But that model has definitely shifted.
Yeah. Coach, what does Nevada mean to you?
Well, I've really appreciated, my time here. One, if you spend any time here, the Reno Tahoe area is a beautiful piece of our country, and we've just got great fans. The thing I appreciate is how loyal our fans have been. A lot of places, they come out for conference games. We do a really good job in the non-conference of supporting our program. And so I think our guys appreciate that. We have a lot of guys that end up staying here because of the fan base that we have here. It's a true fan base, and they want success, but they also don't. They're not ready to throw you off a Sierra Mountain if you lose a game either. And it is something that I've really liked, the quality of people and the quality of lifestyle that we've been able to have here. And because of that, I think we've been able to create a really good culture that we have here. Would we like to win more? Yeah, everybody does. But, we're winning a lot of games, and we're doing it the right way. Our kids play unselfish, and they work very hard, and I think they're fun for this community to support.
Yeah. How is that? Can you give any tidbits to any non-conference scheduling news or details? Or
that's gotten more interesting, more difficult because 5 years ago, whether you're at Colorado State, whether you're at Nevada, you could get some home and homes with some Power Fives, and the Power Fives it's all part of the squeeze play. They didn't start having these power conferences. That was the first step in the power squeeze, and now the next step has been scheduling. They know that why schedule somebody in the Mountain West? You're going to play enough quad ones and enough quad twos in your league play. So you're going to get 20 to 24 of those. So you're seeing a lot of the Power Five scheduling teams that are in the 250 to 300 range, and we're not that. And so I think that's become much, much more difficult. But we got about 2 or 3 more games we got to schedule, but we're in a really good tournament down in Dallas. We're in a good tournament in Palm Springs. We're doing a one-off, I think, with hopefully St. Mary's and Tahoe. And
nice.
So there's a lot of good things that we're trying to do, but even trying to schedule the PAC teams that that's getting harder. And I think both the PAC and the Mountain West are going to know we better start playing each other because the future is only going to get harder for both of those leagues to schedule out of league.
Yeah, 100%. It's almost like you need to do the MAC Sun Belt where they play 2 games, one home, one away. I think, because there's still, you have a lot of history with a lot of these coaches. I mean, you'd love
great rivalries.
Oh my God. Would you love to coach against Leon Rice and just hear him complain to officials the whole game? I mean, I'm going to miss that.
Right.
Good old Leon. So we do a little thing called the shot clock, just very light and airy, very quick. If it leads to a story, share the story and what have you. Okay. So Sam usually sets us up, but I'll do it myself since he's not here. So who would you say is your biggest coaching influence?
My dad. You want me to expand on that, or we only got 20?
Yeah. What I guess what
he gave me the foundation. Dad gave me the foundation, taught me how to compete, how to prepare, how to become better as a player. Nice. And because of that development piece that I had as a player, I've been able to take into coaching of how to develop players.
Nice. What is the most Bobby Knight-ish thing you do on a daily basis as a coach?
I tell Pat Knight this all the time, and he laughs at me, but 4 corners. We start every practice with 4 corners, and it's just a very simple passing drill that Pat thinks does nothing for your team. And he might be right, but I do it just because Coach Knight started every practice with 4 corners, and it's something that I've done for 36 years.
Yeah, good old Pat Knight. I love the recruiting story we asked Chris Beard. Funniest recruiting story was him and Pat Knight. They rented a Toyota Yaris, and I think they got out recruiting like Houston, and all these major coaches are looking at him, seeing, because I guess Pat Knight's a tall dude. So
right, he is.
All right, toughest road environment you ever played or coached in?
Wow, that's difficult. I was very fortunate to play in the Big Ten, so we had a lot of tough environments. So back in the 80s, it was Purdue and Illinois and Michigan and to some degree Iowa. Those were probably the harder places to play. Now the Big Ten's changed a lot, so it's not the true Big Ten anymore, in my opinion. But that's changed a little bit. But those were tough environments as a player. Coaching, the Pit in New Mexico is about as good as it gets. San Diego State obviously has had a lot of success. That's a very, very difficult place to play. And then when I was at UCLA, I'd say Arizona in that league was the hardest place to coach in.
Nice. Funniest fan interaction you ever had? That you can say.
Yeah, Snake at the Pit in New Mexico. He's always our biggest fan when we were there, and now that we're not there, I used to tell coaches, I said, when you come into the Pit, just make sure you bring him a practice jersey or a uniform, because if you give him a gift, he'll treat you a lot differently. So we used to watch teams pull up at the Pit when he would meet them and just start hackling them right from the beginning. And we'd see coaches give him something and he'd back way down. So
that's awesome.
He's probably the most classic fan we've had.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Funniest recruiting story. I mean, you've coached at some great programs and obviously have some history. Give us a good one.
Yeah, I can remember Coach Neal and I were both from Indiana, and we're both from Southern Indiana. So this would be a really good one. So we were at the University of Iowa, and we had a private plane with 2 pilots that took us into a home visit in Illinois, Southern Illinois, to recruit somebody. And we had another one set up for Indianapolis. And we got out of the one in Illinois, and we had the time change. So we didn't put that into the picture. So we told the pilots, look, we're way ahead of schedule. And so we either fly to Indianapolis and we can sit there for an hour and you guys will be on the ground in Indy waiting on us a little bit, or we can fly you to Coach Neal's hometown where my mom and dad are from, Washington, Indiana, and we'll take you to Mason's, which has the best foot-long conies and root beer anywhere you've had, I promise you. So, but it's on you. It's on you as pilots because it's your plane. And they said, oh, no, we'll fly to Washington, Indiana. So we made a pit stop in Washington, Indiana before the plane took us to Indy to have conies and root beer. And to this day, I still haven't tasted better conies or root beer. And I think the pilots would vouch that as well.
Yeah. Did you ever get to Indianapolis on time?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We still made the time. It was whether we were going to have downtime in Indy or downtime having conies and root beer.
Nice. Noodles. They call him Noodles. Craig Neal, they call him Noodles.
Well, he's 6'5". I mean, he says he was $140, 6'5", $140. I think it was more like 6'5", $120 in high school. So, I always like highlights of Noodles because he played as fast as anybody that I'd ever seen in the 80s play. He was very, very fast. And there's highlights of him where he's coming at you on the fast break and people would sit there and try to take a charge on him. And there would be a no block call because he would just turn sideways and go right by him. And, he's had the nickname of Noodles a long time.
That's funny. Give me the Mount Rushmore of college basketball shooters. Who would be on that
college basketball
shooters? The shooters.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about going even back to my playing days and stuff, but
absolutely.
Yeah, that's hard. I've been in coaching so long, but
I know.
that'd be. I'd have to think long and hard about that. There's been so many good shooters through the decades that I played. I've been 5 decades now, 4 of them in coaching and 1 playing. So I think if I gave you the Mount Rushmore, I'd forget something in my era that I appreciated. So I'd probably have to look into that a little deeper.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'd know. I couldn't just get it down to a short number like that.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, that's fine.
Nice. The difference is really the eras. I tell my sons that all the time, that they were able to grow up practicing, Steph Curry kind of reinvented the game a little bit. And today's players, we practice now shooting from 23, 24 feet. And I can remember when I grew up, it was mid-range game. It was how you could pull up from 15 and make shots. And so first year I had it was 19-9 of my senior in college. And then the next year I go to the NBA. I can remember calling my dad, it was 19-9. I only had it for 1 year. It didn't really change much, but now it's 23-4. And I feel like I'm absolutely just heaving the basketball. I'm no longer shooting the basketball because you've been trained that way. Yeah. And now kids are, you dribble into threes, you step back to threes. I couldn't imagine in 1988 when I was in the NBA doing a step back 3 and even hitting the rim. It was just a totally different shot. But now kids grow up practicing it all the time.
Del Curry never did it. So
yeah.
Son might have, but he sure as hell didn't. But all right,
Del could shoot it.
Oh, he could shoot.
Yeah.
All right, you're on a 10-hour flight, and you got 2 head coaches on each side of you. Who are they?
That's hard. That's a hard question too. I've been so blessed as well. Dan Munson, because I'd want his storytelling would get me through 3 or 4 hours of a long flight. So I would want Dan with me just to make the flight shorter. But then I want somebody quieter to let me sleep maybe a little bit on that. So that's hard. I've got so many friends in the business that I would want to pick their brains with, and friends, but from Tom Izzo to Rick Barnes to Coach Cal, these guys I'd like to be on a flight just to pick their brain. And but a friend like Dan, that would be enjoyable having him on that flight.
Yeah. We should have asked you, who wouldn't you want to sit beside for 10 hours, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fair.
No, that wouldn't be very nice. Yeah. I'm sure you have a list everybody has a list of those. All right, last question for you. Okay. They're doing a Hollywood movie about your life. Okay. What would the title be? Who would play you? And what would the theme song be?
I have no idea who would play me or even would want to play me. I've always felt like, to be honest with you, I've always felt very blessed. So somewhere blessed would be in the title, because just a small town kid in Indiana that grew up working as hard as he could, and then to get an opportunity to play at Newcastle, the world's largest high school field house, and sell legendary. That out for 2 years. And then the Indiana experience, playing for, playing for my dad and then playing for Coach Knight and winning the national title, being a part. At my age, you didn't think Olympics were even a possibility, because back then the amateurs were basically seniors in college. And I just completed my freshman year in college. Didn't even think it was an opportunity. And then to make the team, then end up being on the starting backcourt of the gold medal game against Spain, and winning gold medal, and then getting to play in the NBA for a little bit, and then coach at the age of 26 and still doing it at 61, and all the spots, all the teams, all the coaches that I've had a chance to work with, and the players I've got so blessed would be in there somewhere. God has blessed me with an incredible journey, and I've been very, very fortunate with that. It would be a Cougar. It'd be a Mellencamp theme song for sure. And you could almost pick any of those songs as long as it's Mellencamp. I'd be all in.
Yeah. Is the Hoosiers the movie a good depiction of Indiana basketball back in the day?
Oh, absolutely. Best sport movie ever.
Isn't it great?
I don't have how that's even debated. Absolute phenomenal movie, and something that and it was great timing. It came out right in the same era of us winning a national title. So tremendous timing for Hollywood that way.
I was at Butler for the NIT semis, saw a couple people I know and stuff coaching. And every time I go into Butler, I got to yell Hickory. It's one person said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Okay, you need to like get out of the bubble." But no, Coach. Yeah, I mean, I've got the movie poster in my office signed by Dennis Hopper, Gene Hackman, and Barbara Hershey. I mean, framed.
And still today as a coach, when we go into opposing gyms, we make sure we're looking at those rims, making sure that they're the right height. So we might not be carrying the tool, but we're looking at those rims to make sure they're the right height.
Oh God, that's funny. You are a shooter. Let's be honest. Oh my God. So, Coach, last question we have for you. You know, I know it's you haven't really gotten in front of a lot of the kids, but how excited should Wolfpack fans be for this upcoming season? I mean, you know, you haven't practiced yet, you haven't got them all on campus technically, but you know, what is your kind of level of excitement for this group?
Well, one, we signed 4 really good freshmen that we're very excited about. So again, freshmen it's a whole different deal. It's harder for freshmen to play, but we've got some freshmen that can really play. And so I think the recruiting class in the fall was tremendous. And then we retained four of the guys that we really wanted to retain, starting with Elijah Price, Von Weems. But to be able to get Miles and Peyton to come back, 2 freshmen that I think their best basketball is way in front of them. Those are 4 really good retainees. And then the 6 guys we got out of the portal, we're very excited about. We got size, we got athleticism, we got scoring. A lot of the guys that we brought in last year, if you look at that versus this year's group, the numbers, just the stat line of these guys is much more enhanced than what it was a year ago. So we just got to do our job here in the summer. We got to get to know them. We got to blend them. We got to connect them, unify them a little bit about who we want to be and who we are. But it's a very exciting roster. Looking just in late May, we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you're going to stick on for one more second. I love the Mountain West. Even though it's breaking up, I'm still really excited. You got some really good teams, really good programs, and you got Sundance Wicks, best name in college basketball.
He does have a great name.
Yeah. He's nuts. So we've had him on the show multiple times. But Coach, really appreciate it. Everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Check out Coach Alford in Nevada, Reno. I mean, he's done a great job. Great program, great basketball. And probably one of the favorites for the Mountain West. I know there's preseason rankings don't mean anything. It's hard to tell, but you know, with retainment, that's a huge thing. But thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget us to follow us on Twitter or Instagram. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back next week on the Full Court Press, the College Basketball Coaches Show.
Thanks so much.